This is author-illustrator Jessica Loy back with another edition of Busy Beaver Activities. And today I'm in our garden, and it's springtime, which is a wonderful time of the year because everything's growing and blooming. And one of the things that I love that's blooming in our garden right now is the bleeding heart. Bleeding hearts are lots of fun because they're so easy to recognize. If you look at the flower, they look exactly like hearts, and if you look at a red one, of course hearts are red, so they look just like a heart. They do come in other colors though. So for today's activity, I was going to give you a story that you could share with your friends using the bleeding heart flower. There are a number of folk tales that are told about bleeding hearts, so you can listen to my rendition, you might find other renditions, and you can come up with your own rendition. So my story, I pulled off a couple of bleeding hearts. We don't want to pull off too many because we want the plant to grow and continue to be enjoyed by everyone, but I pulled off a few flowers to tell this story. So the story I'm going to tell is about a princess, and if you look at the flower and pull the petals down a little bit, they look like a dress, very fancy dress, and a prince. So I pulled the petals down a little further and they make very fancy pants. So we have a prince with his head and his arms and his pants, and a princess with her very elegant dress here. The prince loved the princess and he wanted to impress her. So he traveled far and wide and brought back two, I'm going to pull this apart, very exotic and unusual red bunnies. The prince brought the two exotic red bunnies to the princess and presented them to her to win her heart, but she rejected them. She was not interested in being won over by gifts. So the prince went away very sad, and he didn't know what to do with the bunnies, but there was a little boy in the village who was very fond of animals and took care of all sorts of animals from the forest and from the village, and so he left them with him and they were very happy. So the prince went out and went to a jeweler to try a different gift, and at the jeweler's he purchased two, or a pair, of beautiful dangling earrings. And he brought the dangly earrings to the princess and presented them to her once again. And once again, she rejected the presents. He was very sad as he walked out and didn't know what to do with the earrings. So he brought them to his mother, who appreciated and loved them right away. But what was he to do to win the princess's love? So his mother suggested that he go to the local tailors and purchase a beautiful pair of silk slippers. I pull the next part of the flower off. So he gathered up these beautiful silk slippers and brought them to the princess's house and presented them to her. And once again, the princess dismissed the prince and the gift and sent him away. And once again, he was so sad. But he knew his grandfather, who spent a lot of time in slippers because he was very old, would love them. So he brought them to him, and sure enough, his grandfather was very pleased. Well, the prince didn't know what to do, so he had one last idea. He went to a local farmer who made a very special and rare elixir. I'll use the last part of the flower. A very special elixir that he made from the fruits and vegetables of his garden, and it was to bring you good health and happiness. And so the prince went and purchased a bottle of this special elixir, and once again, for one last time, brought it to the princess and presented it to her. But one last time, the princess rejected the prince's gift. She didn't want gifts from him. She wanted to be wooed in other ways, and the prince didn't understand this, and he went away broken-hearted again. But he did bring the elixir to his father, who had not been very well, and appreciated having this special gift to help him recover and become well again. But the prince was so sad and his heart was so broken that he got in his boat and sailed away to seek his love in other lands. When the princess heard of how the prince had been giving of his gifts to others and how much they appreciated his gifts, she realized that perhaps she had made a mistake. And then she felt very sad that she had not enjoyed the prince's gifts, but it was too late. So instead, she planted a bleeding heart in her garden to remind her of how generous the young prince was, and that perhaps she would learn from that. I hope you enjoyed that fairy tale. You can share that fairy tale with your friends using all the parts of the bleeding heart flower. The bunnies, the slippers, the beautiful dangly earrings, the bottle of elixir, and of course our prince and our princess as well. You can use my story, or you can come up with your own story using all of these fun parts. Take care. Bye-bye.